friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Trina, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how much I have failed in this month's anime challenge, wherein I asked my best friend to give me a list of all the anime that she recommends me watching, and she basically controls all of the anime that I will watch for the month. And I say that I failed because, as you can see, the ones with the numbers on its side are the only ones that I have watched this month. Granted, I have reasons why I did not finish watching or didn't get to watch some of these. I do have two here, two very good reasons. I did a reading vlog sort of situation for this month just to kind of try it out how reading vlog type format works, and so I've learned a lot during that time. And also, I have read one of the Michael Crichton books that I still have on hand, and I wanted to read it before I would sell it off. So those two. And then I also read Blood on the Tracks, which is not that much of a reason because I've finished it in just one day. So that's one manga. And then a live action movie. I did watch Zom 100 live action, the Netflix adaptation. Safe to say, I didn't really like it as much as I would probably like it if it was the anime, basically. So to me, it was very superhero sort of action. It is comedy, so I was hoping that whatever the actions that the main character did in the anime would be it would be executed better in a anime or animation style format rather than the live action. I'm just going to say that live actions are basically hit or miss for me. Most of the time they miss, except for one, which is Alice in Borderland, which is my favorite manga of that particular genre, as well as the survival high stakes strategy game sort of genre. But I also like the Netflix adaptation because it is very close to the manga, as well as adding their own game or spice to it. So yeah, I do recommend Alice in Borderland if you haven't read or watched it yet. So yeah, I'm going to go forward with what I have finished watching from the list that my best friend gave to me. So basically, these 5 at the top are from her list. However, I did plan on watching this. She got to pick it out from the list that I have on my to watch and then added it here. So I only watched Farming Life in Another World, which is I rated it as an 8 out of 10. Here it is, if you want to read. So basically, it is an isekai story, as always, wherein this guy is have been cheated on by life, basically, and the god was very guilty of not giving him a better life, so decided to I will put you into this world. You could ask whatever you want. You would live your life however you please. And so his decision was to I want to try farming, because when I was sick in bed, I watched all of these farming related documentaries, and that's basically it. He started expanding his land. More people came in. He provided refuge for different clans and such, and it basically became a town, and he became a mayor of some sort. It's very wholesome and very, as you could say, an actual farming simulator sort of situation, and it's fun. It reminds me very much of Animal Crossing mixed with Stardew Valley, only that you are plopped into a deserted forest that is supposed to be very dangerous. So yeah, next I have here is Restaurant to Another World. Restaurant to Another World is one of my 10 out of 10 for this month. I am very happy with it. It is basically a restaurant wherein every Saturday they close their doors for normal human customers, because during Saturday, or what they call the day of Saturn, it took me so much to realize that the day of Saturn is just Saturday. So every Saturday they open their doors to this mystical door from another world, wherein it's a connected link, and then basically the chef just provides these mythical beings, as well as people from the different fairy tale stories, provide them with their own specific favorite food, serving them every Saturday delicious meals, and each character there was like a lizard man, there was a sorcerer, there are like nymphs, fairies, there's also aristocrats from different stories, sailors and such. And basically they all have their own specific favorite food item on the menu. And it's very wholesome, and I also love the plot twist in the end. So I'm not going to tell you what that is. You have to watch it for yourself if you like very cozy gourmet and also very like introduction to isekai sort of situation, then go for it. Next I have here is Saint's magic power is omnipotent, which is one of my favorite romances so far. I have said this so many times that I am not much of a romance girly. However, this particular romance is so cheesy and so cliche, yet I really love them. Like, think of it as campfire cooking in another world, wherein the main character has been summoned by basically the kingdom to be their hero and such, and in this case a saint, and they have been like set in the side because they weren't chosen, or like the people who summoned them don't see the potential in them basically, but it turns out they are the one who are more powerful than who the kingdom deemed as their heroes and such. And the romance between her and the knight, fabulous, fantastic. It's so cliche, so cheesy, and yet it's so cute. I really love it. 9 out of 10 because I don't know, I don't know why I didn't give it like a full 10. I don't know if I wrote it in here. Hold on a sec if I have written why. I think basically the reason why I gave it a 9 out of 10 because the way she manifested her power, the reason or like the trigger of how she manifested her power is very, as I've said, very cliche, very like, oh, that's it, basically. But for someone who really loves the romance genre, would probably give this a 10 out of 10. Might just give this like a 9.5 out of 10. Next is Drugstore in Another World. Basically another isekai. I watched this yesterday. And it's sort of like backwards, wherein you are more of the isekai that we have watched goes into a certain pattern wherein you are in the modern like real world, as you say, and then they either got into an accident, they got sick, and then they died, and then they got summoned into this new world. Where in Drugstore in Another World is you are now in a situation wherein they basically skip all of the introduction, and all of the main like cast of characters are already working with whatever they are doing in the world. So in Drugstore in Another World, as you can see, is a guy who got transported into this world and has like the power to make potions and such. And it is not your typical potion making sort of isekai fantasy. It is more of like him creating very basic essentials as well as cosmetics. So that is like his stick with all of this. So he makes like anti-aging creams, polishes, sunblock and such. And it's fine. And it is told like in, not necessarily reverse, but on the last episode is when they tell you what happened to him, basically. So 7 out of 10. Next, Flavors of Youth is one of the ones that I first watched, which is a 9 out of 10 for me. It is basically 3 different stories told in China. And it is about, one is food, one is family, and one is like first love. And it tells a story of how much of a big impact our childhood is in our relationships when we are kids are as we grow older. And so it's very beautiful. It's very much an aesthetic anime, and it's very short too. Like if you just want to watch just the first one, that's fine. It's very short. Next we have here is Orbital Children, another one that is like the first ones that I have watched for this month. However, I think this was the reason why I had a slump. I did feel like I have like a watching sort of slump, anime slump this month, and I think it was because of Orbital Children. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I really loved it at first. It was about kids who were brought to the satellite, like genius kids who were brought to the satellite of Japan, wherein they are going to meet like moon children, children who are born in outer space, and they were like declaring, like the government was declaring that they won't be providing funds for these children anymore, so they have to like go down to Earth to live a normal life, basically. However, there is so much studies that are going wrong, and also like hacking and such. And it's very much like, it's supposed to be high paced, I believe, but I find it so boring near the end, and I don't think that the ending was satisfying enough for me. It was like normal, it was like predictable, but it wasn't as satisfying as I hope it would be. But still, if you are interested in like sci-fi outer space sort of situation, it's very nice. I do have a lot of rants about it. And then the last two here are the ones that I actually finished yesterday and this morning. The Fire Hunter, which I actually saw on Bilibili just randomly, and I am so disappointed in it. It is a 10-episode anime wherein it somewhat reminds me of Fire Force for some reason. So this world is like in a dystopian post-apocalyptic world wherein a huge fire broke out, and then it ruined the whole society, and so humanity has to bring themselves back up from that disaster. And then they have this sort of religion and such, and the only way for them to have like sources of energy or like fire is through harvesting them from fire fiends, which are like monsters wherein if you have like this sickle, the weapon is a sickle, and then fire hunters are the ones that harvest these like liquid, and these liquids are like almost like nectar sort of liquid, which is basically like the blood of the fire fiends or something, and they use that as their fuel for like engines and such. And when I reached the end at episode 10, it like ended in a very unsatisfying cliffhanger. And then of course there's season 2 for it. However, it was so unsatisfying for me. Like, why did they cut it off there? And so yeah, they basically cut it off before like some major battle is going to happen, which is like, why? At least cut it off like after training or something. I don't know. So yeah, 6 out of 10. I'm still very much intrigued by it, but it's like very info dumping for the first 4 episodes, and then as you get invested in the middle of the series, it cuts off your momentum entirely. So still 6 out of 10, which is still fair, I guess. And then last is Exemption. Exemption is like a sci-fi horror again. Basically my 2 main genres for this month is either isekai or science fiction, horror or drama. And Exemption, I did not expect that it was like 3D anime sort of style, which I hated, which really bumps down my rating of it. The storyline is sort of cliche, like you would know who the enemy is and who they are like trying to make into or like put the blame on or something. So basically this anime is about like a space exploration to a planet because Earth is dying, so they have to find a new planet to like live on. And they sent instead of sending astronauts or explorers or space explorers or whatever, they decided to send off clones that could clone themselves or reclone themselves every time they die off and have a new body, just to fulfill this mission. So they have like a technician, a pilot, an engineer, a doctor, and a botanist on the ship. And then all hell broke loose when one of the crewmates, their cloning, or like, it's not cloning, their term is actually 3D printing. So their printing process got disrupted when a solar flare happened, and instead of looking like a human or like his human form, he became mutated, and they basically put the blame on all of the issues with the mission on this monster. And then they started to suspect each other because the monster has gained like cognition, because to them he's still human, he still has the mental capacity of their former crewmate. And it was this 8th episode of them questioning whether or not trying to like deconstruct and construct this person as human or not, if it's considered murder, even though they are basically just 3D printed clones. And they ask themselves if they are human or if they have souls or something. So, but still, I don't really like the art style. I find the storyline very predictable. So it's 4 out of 10 for me. And so basically that's it. I'm going to just quickly flip through the pages of what I have watched so far. I do like have a, what do you call this? I ended up dividing the pages sometimes. Like if the like entry was very short, I decided to put just 2 in one page, just so to save space. But sometimes it's just very long, so I just added to somewhere else. And that is where I end this month of watching. I did like think of like watching Flying Witch today. However, I don't know if I'm going to get on with that. I do like want to watch Flying Witch and By the Grace of the Gods one of these days. However, I do have a thing prepared for the month of September, which is an anime vlog. So this is what I'm going to be doing for the month of September, wherein I'm going to spin a wheel of all of these anime in the names in this wheel, and I get to spin it every time I finish one. And the inspiration is like those in BookTube, wherein this video doesn't end until I get a 5-star book or I read the 5-star book. In my case, this video doesn't end until I get a 10 out of 10 in one of these anime that I'm going to watch. So partially it's RNG, partially it's also in my control because I chose this list, and I will be adding some more here. So basically these are like movies, stuff that I wanted to watch for the longest time but haven't gotten around to. Some are like wild cards, and I'm going to also add some here that are like suggested by other people. So basically what I'm doing here is like looking through and see if they have like a 9 or 8 out of 10 rating and above, and see if it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I do want to put predictions on which one of these I think will be a 10 out of 10 for me, but I will leave that to when I start the vlog on September 1st. So yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoy, and I hope I wasn't too confusing when I'm explaining some of these to you all. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. The vlog, I think, won't be up until like the end of September, so that's going to be long. Who knows? Maybe it will be like one shot. The very first one the wheel lands on will be a 10 out of 10. Who knows? We might be lucky. We might not be. So yeah, thank you so much again, and I'll see you in the next video. So until then, guys, take care and bye.